What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another video. I have on my lovely Zodiac inspired tee sweatshirt here, along with the Zodiac Academy mug, travel mug that I have drinking tea, because today is wrap up reading for the month of November. Now, there are quite a few books on here, but the majority of them happen to be from the Zodiac Academy, hence the Zodiac Academy vibes today. And yeah, we have a lot of them, guys. We have 18 books. Also, there was one DNF. I'm very, very disappointed in myself that I did have a DNF, but I did have a DNF, and I will explain that DNF when we get closer to that point in the video. We probably have an even amount of Zodiac related books and non-Zodiac related books in this video. It is going to be a bit of a long one, so wherever you are, grab your drink of choice, get cozy, get comfy, and come hang out with me. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Jaya. I put out videos related to bookish content on Wednesdays and Sundays, and would love to have you join us today as well as in the future if you're interested. And for those of you who are returning, thank you so much for being here. I fully appreciate your support, and I'm so thankful to have this gorgeous bookish community that we are growing here together. Without further ado though, let's jump into the video because it is going to be a long one. So I guess we might as well start with the Zodiac Academy books, right? I'm not going to go too much into review on these books because I did do a series review for this entire series that shall be coming out sometime this month. So that will hopefully answer any questions that people may have on this series. But I figured I would still go over which books I actually completed this month. For those who don't know, the Zodiac Academy is basically a magical series based on the concept of Fae. It is set in the world of Solaria. There are multiple books that have been created within this world. There are 3 series that are completed and a 4th series that has just been started. It is written by the authors Caroline Peckman and Suzanne Valenti. The Twisted Sisters are wonderful with their writing. Basically, this entire series is what I would call a dark Harry Potter. It has nothing to do with Harry Potter. It's just the vibes. There's magic, there's evil bad guys, there's crazy things happening within the academy and the year, and things that are like small things that they have to overcome, as well as crazy things happening outside of the academy that they eventually come face to face with as the story progresses. This storyline basically follows 2 main female plot characters who are Darcy and Tori Vega. They are the lost heirs to the throne, and they are thrown back into the world of Solaria. The reason why I say Harry Potter vibes is because they grew up in the mortal world without knowledge of the fact that they have powers or money, and they're basically destitute. So kind of similar to that Harry Potter vibe. And then as soon as they get back into the kingdom, everybody knows who they are. Everybody wants a piece of them. Everybody's either out to get them or out to be their best friend, and they have no idea where they stand. At the same time, you also have craziness that are happening outside of the kingdom. So you have nymphs that are attacking, that are basically trying to gain power from the Fae and have more power within the Solarian kingdom. So that's like the enemy race, if you will. Then you have 2 major evil characters and a 3rd one that's introduced later on in the series. It is a total of, let me think really quick. I believe 14 books. So 14 books in the Zodiac Academy series, 5 in the Ruthless Boys series, which is set prior to this series, and then 4 in the completed Darkmoor Penitentiary series, which is right after this series is over. And then you have the new book that has been released, Neverkeep, and I have no idea what that's about, and I refuse to touch it or read it until more books in the series are released, because I'm already scared of how much my heart is going to want to know what happens next. And if it has any bearing to the first book in this series, my heart will be broken by the time that first book ends. So I'm going to wait until more books in that series come out. That being said, I had read all 5 of the Ruthless Boys books, the first 3 books of the Zodiac Academy, I believe books 4 and 5 as well, and one of the novellas, which was The Origin of an Academic Bully, in October. So that's where this is all stemmed from. That started in the month of October. I ended up reading a lot in October. I also did a 24-hour readathon. So if you're into those types of things, definitely go check out those videos as well. But October is an intense reading month for me. So when I finished, I had to finish the rest of the series. The original plan was to just read 3 of these this month, but somehow it turned into, I'm just going to finish the series. Bella? Sorry, I thought I heard my cat. My apologies. I have 2 cats, for those of you that are new. For those of you who have been here before, you know about the cats, and you know that sometimes they drive me a little crazy. She likes to get into the Christmas tree and kind of jump around in there, so that always makes me nervous. And then sometimes she likes to do twisty things in my husband's desk chair, so that also makes me nervous when he's busy. So, coming back to the topic at hand, the first book that I ended up reading in the collection of books here, oh wow, I didn't even put them in order, guys. So I had finished up to book 5 the last time I had checked in. So, as I break things, the first book that I ended up reading next was book 6, which is the Fated Throne book. This was excellent. Definitely enjoyed it. It is a slower read. It definitely moves the plot along, and you definitely get more build up towards the next part of the series in the world. Again, I did a full series review, so I talk more in detail about each of those books there, but loved this book. It was very enjoyable, solid 4-star. Then after that, I ended up reading the Zodiac Academy. Oops, nope, that's not it. Hold on, guys. Hold on, wrong book. The Zodiac Academy first book, retold from the boys' perspective. So the first book is a bully romance, and you get it from the perspective of the girls, and they're the ones that are being bullied. This one tells you the perspective of the story from the mindset of the bullies themselves, aka the boys, and that basically is told from the perspective of 5 main boy characters. 4 of them are major characters in the plot line, and they are the sons of the current rulers of the kingdom, and then 1 is an amazing character who's my personal favorite. His name is Orion. He's one of the professors at the school and was unfortunately forced into that position and is forced into protecting one of the celestial heirs, but he also has a relationship and a friendship with him. Very, very, very fun read. I enjoyed this a lot more than the original first book because this book was more bearable, I think, and it also gives you a little bit more perspective into the way that the boys think and why they are the way they are. But it's still a lot. Still a lot. Still overwhelming. Still hurts. Then after that, we have book number 7. Now, book number 7 was one of my favorites in the series. This is a solid 5-star. The other book that I just talked about is between a 4.5 and a 5-star. I finalized my rating system in the video that I actually talk about all the books and review them. So, yeah. This one is a 5-star read for me. I loved this book. This book has all the romance. It's basically talking about all the relationship drama, the romance, and the building of the army to help overcome the evil characters. And it also allows a couple of characters that have been separated to be reunited, only to be separated again at the end. Of course, because why would anything be blissful or happy at the end of any of these books? No, they're literally written to rip your heart out until you get to the 9th one. But while the cliffhanger is brutal, the rest of the book is very, very enjoyable, and it's saucy and it's fun. This book is spicy, but worth it. Loved this book. This is a solid 5-star read for me. Then the next book I have is Sorrow and Starlight. This book breaks your heart. It is very, very long. It is very, very drudging to get through. It was a solid 3.5 to 4-star for me. I don't know what I settled on, but it will be in the review video. This book is a lot. It's emotional. It's painful. A lot of their characters, main characters, go through these emotional trials. They grow through them, so that's nice to see. And they all go through their own personal journeys. One of the couples that I'm absolutely obsessed with, both the male and the female lead in that, was really lovely to see. It was also fun to get some of the perspectives from other characters, but there's certain character perspectives in this book that are just not necessary. They're not important characters. I don't give a care about them, and I really don't think that it added value to the storyline. So those I would have liked to see less of. There are certain dramatic events that happen, certain character quirks that are going on that I'm not a fan of, but it is also an important book because they show the two girls growing into their own without each other while still having a relationship with one another. It also tells the story of one of the main lead characters who dies coming back, so that's an interesting plot line and twist. It's a very interesting storyline, I will say, but it was just long, unnecessarily long in my humble opinion, which is what made the star rating for this less. And this one is just painful. Nothing good happens until the very end, basically. Then we have book 8.5, which is a novella, and this one is Beyond the Veil. This book was amazing. For as tiny as it is, it packs a punch. This book is basically all the same things that are happening in this book told from the perspective of different characters. Look at that size difference too. I mean, this is like probably a quarter of this one or a third of this one, I guess, but still. This is told from the perspective of all the characters that have died, watching everything happening in the world of the living. And it's basically literally telling you the story of what's going on in the minds of all the characters that are beyond the veil or in the brink of death, in between the point of moving on to happily ever after and kind of like that purgatory vibe. It is so well written. It is so enjoyable. I loved getting the perspective from these characters. These are characters that you hear about throughout the entire series, but they haven't really had a chance to verbalize their feelings. You haven't really had a chance to get their story perspective. And it's just fun. It's just a really, really fun read. Loved this. This was a 5-star read for me. I loved this book. Then after that, which is interesting, right? It's like the book before it that this is supposed to be the novella for. I didn't like as much, but I loved this one. Anyways. Then we have book 9. This one's fun. This one's relatively fast-paced. This is when all the battles and the wars happen and you get to the end and you're just like, yes, conclusion. It's a great ending. It's great epilogues. It's fun. It's bliss. It's enjoyable. This was a solid 4.5 stars for me. It was not quite a 5-star read. Now, keep in mind, all of these star ratings may change by the time that the next video comes out, kind of going over the series review, but I promise I will give more in-depth review of all of these books. Last but not least, in terms of the novellas, at the end of this series, we have Live and Let Lionel. This one was also a ton of fun. This is basically small snippets of alternative points of views of things that are happening as major events and plot points throughout the course of the book. One of the chapters in here, which is Seth Goes to the Moon, was recommended to be read prior to starting the 6th book. That one was a quick 10-minute read, and then the rest of the book should be read after you finish the series, because then you get different perspectives and storylines, both from a prequel standpoint as well as a throughout the series standpoint, as well as at the end standpoint. So this is a great book to just finish off the series with. I also realized I skipped one of these books, so this is the book that was read first. This is the one that I started before I started Fated Throne. This is book 5.5. It is also a teeny tiny little novella. It is raunchy, it is spicy, it is fun, it is enjoyable. It is basically talking about what is happening with all the characters right after a tragic thing happens in book 5, and we're moving into book 6, and it kind of it's just a nice palate cleanser after book 5. Book 5 was also a 5-star read for me. That one's also great. That one also has a lot of romance. That one is also just very, very rips your heart out, but in the best way possible. Books, but this is a great palate cleanser before you move from 5 to 6, because it's just a happy, fun, overall vibes story, and you're basically just entertained as these kids try to throw a party that cannot be detected by the teachers that are currently in place at the Zodiac Academy school. So great read, very fun, enjoyable, 3-star, nothing to write home about, but it was entertaining. And that concludes the Zodiac Academy component of this reading wrap-up. I hope you enjoyed that abridged version. There is a full 35 to 40 minute video that will probably be coming out, just going over the entire series as a whole. So if you're interested in watching that, definitely check out that video when it comes out. Keep an eye out for it. It will be coming out mid-December-ish time frame, I want to say, but it will be coming out soon. So definitely have that series review for you guys in the works. It'll be coming out soon, and I hope you enjoy it. Moving on. I'm just going to do a little bit of shuffling here on my desk because my piles are very large. I don't know what it is about the fall winter time. It's just when I tend to read the most, but it also means that these what I read in a month videos tend to get longer and longer and longer. I have a feeling the December one is going to be a little bit shorter, but then again, I don't know, because I have a few days where I'm just kind of home alone and everyone I love is kind of out or traveling, and I decided that I still needed a break from work and I just need some time to have mental recovery and just me time. So because of that, I'm not working Christmas weeks. I'll be doing a staycation. I'm super excited about that. I get time with my cats. I get time to read. So you might get a pretty large reading wrap up in January for December, but we shall see what I do or do not get through. This is now the books that I read in the month of November that have nothing to do with Zodiac Academy. So first and foremost, I am part of 2 different book clubs. The first book club is the Paper and Glam Book Club. It is absolutely wonderful. It is run by a wonderful woman named Lisa Marie Landreth. She is phenomenal. Her team is absolutely wonderful. These beautiful women basically get together on a monthly basis to discuss a book club pick. They are also running a separate religious component in their group as well. I am not a part of that. I may be misspeaking when I say that, but it's like basically God and Glam is what they call it, and it's basically a chance for everyone to reflect on God's teachings. So if that's something that interests you, that is also available to you. She does a wonderful job with both of them. I am currently a part of the book club, and I enjoy the book club quite a bit. So this month, being an election month, this past November, of course we had to pick an election-themed book. So this one is called Cleo McDougal Regrets Nothing. This book is basically following Cleo McDougal, who is currently a senator. She then is put in a position where she wants to run for president, and an old frenemy from high school basically posts this really mean thing online that kind of starts getting picked up, where she's like, Chloe McDougal does not deserve to be president. In the meanwhile, she also has been single-handedly bullet pointing every single thing that she has done that she regrets, and it's all on paper for anyone to find. It's hidden inside of her desk, but can still be found. She has one child who does not know who the father is, and she has never told him. She is basically accused of being someone who cheats people and is willing to have relationships with married people, and therefore does not deserve to run for presidency. In the midst of all of this craziness that's happening, her PR manager decides to spin it in a positive way and says, hey, why don't we address all these mistakes and run a campaign where you go and address every single one of 10 of these regrets and basically approach it with the mentality of, hey, I'm going to fix this. So you show your constituents that you're human, you're trying, you want to grow, and that you're going to be a great candidate for presidency whenever you run. And that is the premises of this book. It is absolutely hilarious. It is fun. It is moving. It is emotional. It was a very, very enjoyable read, and I would strongly recommend it for anyone who's into that kind of like second chances redemption arc, and with a little bit of political power to it, especially considering that we did just go through an election year. 4-star, by the way. So yeah, that's that one. Then I'm also part of a second book club. That one is called the Overbooked Book Club. It was run by a wonderful woman who then decided to start a family, and she had to step down. So she kindly requested for volunteers to take over. I have since taken over that book club and would love to see all of you on it if you're interested. It is on Facebook. It's called the Overbooked Book Club. Once you're accepted into the club, we basically meet on Wednesday or Tuesday, the last week of the month, to discuss books. Sometimes that date changes based on whether there's a holiday or something else going on. But for the most part, we all enjoy it. And this month's selection was The Pumpkin Spice Cafe. Now, this book had taken BookTok by storm, BookTube by storm. At one point, you could not get your hands on this book. So it was very, very exciting to actually find the physical copy. And this book is gorgeous. I love the holographic, like shiny metallic vibes. And I just love the beauty of the book. And I love the cat. I'm a big cat person. I love dogs too. Don't get me wrong. I love dogs. I just think cats are easier to take care of. And because of that reason, I have cats because I'm lazy. But this was also a very, very fun read, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. This was a solid 4-star read for me. It's cute, it's enjoyable, it's predictable, but it's fun and it's fast-paced, and it's perfect for the autumnal season. It's kind of set in this small town vibes. Think Gilmore Girls, think Heart of Dixie, like those types of shows. That's basically what the vibe of this book is, and it's absolutely delicious, and I ate it up. So I ate it up so much that I had to read the second book in the series, which is called The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore. This one I did not like as much. I found it a little bit predictable, and it definitely, while gave fall vibes on the front cover, was more summery for me. Lots of beach talk, lots of that kind of stuff. It's basically about a woman. Well, I didn't even tell you what the first one's about. So Pumpkin Spice Cafe is basically about this woman who ends up inheriting her aunt's bakery and has to figure out how to run the bakery. In the midst of all of this, her shop is being kind of terrorized. There's some crazy things happening. We don't know if there's a ghost, a poltergeist, or if someone is targeting her in specific to get her out of town. She's come from a big city. She just saw a life-altering thing happen to her, and she kind of reassesses her life and says, hey, I want to change. Meanwhile, our male protagonist is the perfect grumpy character. He has a heart of gold that has been broken by his ex-girlfriend, who he had actually proposed to, and she refused. He has since been seen in the town as a lovable character, but someone who's just a little broken, and the town wants to see him happy and wants to fix the two of them up, while also issuing threats to our main female character, saying, if you hurt him, we will hurt you. Meanwhile, our main male lead character is trying to figure out where he's at with his trauma, and also trying to deal with the fact that he's unexpectedly attached and attracted to this new bakery owner who's come into town. It does have spice. It's very enjoyable. Definitely recommend. So after I finished that, I was like, okay, the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore should probably have the same vibes. And it kind of does. It follows one of the main female friends from that group of main girls in the first book. The only issue I had is a lot of what happens in her storyline is because she's turning 30 and she just wants to accomplish a lot of things before she hits 30. She's always kind of been a wallflower, so she's excited to kind of come out of her shell and try crazy things. It was just hard for me to appreciate the romance between her and the main male character lead. I could really appreciate their friendship. It was just the physical component that was hard for me to get behind. And considering that this was a romance, that's what made this a 3-star for me. Overall, still a fun book. You could definitely see that the writing has improved in this book. And it's not going to stop me from reading the third book in the series, The Christmas Tree Farm, which I'm actually reading literally right now as we speak in the month of December. So I'm still going to finish this series. I'm looking forward to the next book that's coming out next year. And I'm already pre-ordering both the 4th and 5th book, which are planning to be released next year. So I will be finishing this series. However, that being said, I do think there is more oomph and more enjoyment for me in the first book compared to the second book. Then there are 2 books that I decided to read. Assistant to the Villain and Apprentice to the Villain this past month. I ate these up. They're so good. I love them. 4.5 stars, 4.5 stars. Beautiful books. Quite 5 stars, no, but 4.5 for sure. These are not anything that are to write home about. It is not anything that's going to be like the next literary feat, but it is a warm hug wrapped inside of a blanket. The main character, Evie, is absolutely hilarious, and she ends up in a position where she needs a job. And so the villain, the villain of the village, ends up offering her a job. And of course, you slowly learn that this grumpy, angry villain is not really a villain at all, but he's just gone through all these things because of his circumstances. And maybe really the true villain is the king, who's parading around the town acting as if he's God's gift from Earth and he's doing everything for his community. A lot of crazy things happen, adventures happen, character development happens, slow burn romance happens. It is beautiful. I love both of these. They are set in a fantasy time set with magic and all these other crazy things. The side characters in this are great. The healer is wonderful. The guy who trains the dragon is wonderful. And of course there's a dragon. Of course there's a dragon. Also, there is another head of personnel, if you will, who is absolutely hilarious. She is Evie's worst enemy and best friend at the same time. Like hardcore frenemies going on there. There is a frog that holds up signs talking about his thoughts and emotions. He can't speak, so he communicates with signs. It's adorable. You also come across family members that are long lost family members, or, you know, crazy, ridiculous, spontaneous, intelligent, chaos wreaking siblings. It's fun. It's fun. It's so much fun. It was such tremendous fun to read these. I'm so glad I have the special editions. I've already pre-ordered the 3rd one, and I am going to eat this series up. I'm so excited to read the next one, and all I can say is worth reading. I love these books so much. I only physically read them. I did not listen to Audible at all, and I still finished the books within like 2 to 3 days a piece. So good. So good. Then we have Legends and Lattes. Now, Legends and Lattes is definitely a cozy mystery vibe. It is definitely a fall book. It's basically about an ogre who's been going out and fighting and doing all kinds of crazy adventures, and she decides she no longer wants to be a mercenary. She's going to hang up her sword and she's going to open up a coffee shop in a place where coffee has never been heard of before. It's a beautiful story. It's very enjoyable. It is on the slower end in terms of pace, but it's a fun, fun, slow-paced, enjoyable, cozy fall mystery vibe book. This was a 3-star read for me. It was enough where I wanted to read the second book in the series, and I did order the special edition of it as well because I had heard so many wonderful things about this book. This is the book I DNF'd. Bookshops and Bone Dust is kind of set in a different time era than this one. It is the prequel to this one, so you are totally fine reading this before you read this, and I kind of wish I had done that because it's really hard for me to picture the Viv, the main character of this character, as the Viv in this. And I think that's kind of what made me put this book down. It also made it really hard for me to focus because we're picking up from a place where like she's forced to rest because she's sustained an injury. And I'm sure this is where she experiences coffee and she experiences the bookshop and she experiences all these things that makes her want to be this Viv. But I like this Viv, so it's really hard for me to like this Viv. I will definitely pick this book up later. It just was not speaking to me while I was reading this month. And that brings me to the only DNF I had in the month of November, which was Bookshops and Bone Dust. But I do recommend the Legends and Lattes series by Travis. I only would say that these Travis Baldree books, you should read this one before you read this one because it is technically the prequel. Okay. So that being said, next up, there was a book that was released at the end of October that I have been waiting for. For those who don't know me, my favorite series of all times is that one that my head was covering, Kingdom of the Wicked. Kingdom of the Wicked is excellent. Such a freaking good, delicious storyline. And it basically follows the stories of Wrath and Emilia. And it's basically about Emilia trying to figure out who killed her sister, Victoria. And she calls upon the demon prince, Wrath, to one of the 7 deadly sin princess, to basically come and help her figure out who murdered her sister. That's how this entire series starts. There's a lot of crazy plot twists that happen. The second and third books are very, very spicy. The third one in particular. The first one doesn't have as much spice. You get a lot of slow burn, angst, and like craziness going on. Second and third book, ooh, delicious, delicious. Such a good series. So, finished reading that. And then Carrie Maniscalco, my girl here, decided that she was going to release additional books that basically tell standalone stories of the other princes of hell and their paramours. So that was really fun. The first book was about Prince Envy, and that is Throne of Secrets. It was absolutely incredible. It was so much fun to read. It's kind of like a game vibe, and it's basically like high stakes competition that's going on. It was very fun. The 2 characters' banter is absolutely hilarious. And of course, everything is around the theme of the sin of envy. That one was very enjoyable. It was a 4-star read for me. It wasn't quite the 5-star that the other series was, and it's not quite as 5 stars as books 1, 2, and 3 were in the Kingdom of the Wicked trilogy, but it was still quite excellent. And so this year released the next book in the series, Throne of Secrets. This is following the story of Prince Gluttony and his paramour. And Adriana, his paramour, happens to be a reporter who was also the bane of his existence. Something has happened in their past that has just poisoned them towards one another. And Adriana's only goal is to make sure that she can report everything possible and also pull down the credibility of the prince of her circle, Prince Gluttony. It is such a fun ride. You get dragons in this book. You get craziness in this book. You get competitions for marriage in this book. You get all kinds of fun. So definitely would recommend. This was a solid 4-star read for me as well. I loved this book. I ate it up. I finished it in a day. Would definitely recommend. And I definitely see myself rereading this whole series at some point as well. Last but not least, I finally decided to tackle 3 books that have been sitting on my shelf for quite some time now by an author that I know that I love, and that is the Lucy Score's Knock 'Em Out series. These books are not only stunning, they're the beautiful new editions released by Barnes & Nobles, but they are also beautiful books. This one, Things We Never Got Over, was a solid 4.5-star read for me. It may even change to a 5-star. The Grumpy Sunshine vibes of this is absolutely excellent. There's also some craziness that's happening in the background that makes it even more fun, because you actually get a little bit of high stakes romance in this as well, which makes it really enjoyable. It's basically following the story of the two Morgan brothers, Nash and Knox, as well as their childhood best friend Lucien and their paramours. This first book features Naomi, who is the good twin of an evil twin, and the evil twin basically tricks Naomi into coming into town and then just abandons her and steals everything she owns, and also happens to dump her 11-year-old niece on Naomi as well, even though Naomi doesn't even know that she has a niece. So it's a very interesting story plot. It's very enjoyable. She basically has to create a new life for herself. So much fun, so enjoyable, love it. I did do a series review on this series as well, so that should be coming out soon, and I will talk more in detail about my thoughts on these books. The next one is Things We Hide from the Light. This is following the story of Lena and Nash. Nash Morgan is the younger brother from the main character, male character in the first book, and Lena is an old paramour of said older brother who comes into town looking for a new job, and they immediately hit it off, Nash and Lena. Nash is the cop of the Knock 'Em Out series as well, so it's definitely like a sheriff love story, small town vibes, so much fun. And Lena is a badass, definitely love her character as well. And then lastly, we have Things We Left Behind. This book is about Lucien. Lucien is the third main male character in the three main characters. He basically grew up like a brother to the Morgan brothers. He's also extremely good looking, tall, dark, and handsome, very rich, basically trying to control all the world from behind the scenes. And while he does have a slightly sketchy past, everything he does is from the idea that he wants to make the world a better place. His primary love interest, Sloane, is this tiny little librarian pixie who is just absolutely adorable and almost still has her childhood 5-year-old intact. This is a childhood romance second chance. It's absolutely wonderful. If you guys like Love in Other Words, I'm pretty sure you would love this book. And Love in Other Words is one of my favorite books of all time, so would definitely recommend. That brings me to the end of this video. Thank you for sticking around. If you did, I know it was long. That was 18 books that we just got through, guys. Give yourself a round of applause. Good job, and a pat on the back, because that was impressive that you guys got through that. But thanks for sticking it out with me. I really enjoyed having you guys here, and I would just like to say that if you enjoy this video and you want to see more content like this, I put out videos every Wednesday and Sunday and would love to see you back. Definitely consider hitting that subscribe button and that notification bell for bookish related content if you want to join me. And for those of you who are back again, thank you for being here once again. I cannot say it enough. I really truly can't, because this would not exist without you guys. Now, I'm not even here necessarily to build a brand or make money or anything like that. It's just that I've always wanted a safe space to be able to talk about books, and you create that community for me. So thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your likes. It truly does mean the world to me, and I'm so, so, so thankful that you guys could be here. That being said, I will let you lovelies go now and hope to see you in the next one. Bye, guys.